Abuja, welcome back to a new video. Addo, the president of the country of all possibilities. Addo has been fingered in an expose by Al-Jazeera titled Gold Mafia.
Al-Jazeera's investigative unit infiltrates the rival gangs that control Africa's gold.
And my goodness, baby, I'm born Addo didn't share what that expose no. Enya deketwa expose ne ba ya chakakra about a month or so ago our Al-Jazeera YouTube channel no so right now da so da ho. In that video no there were some sections be from episode 1 to episode 4. Amafo na ewom no one personalist Matthias say Addo at some point no a lawyer. Yeah, and this guy is a known money launderer based on the expose video Al-Jazeera put out on.
Ghana president is a good friend of mine. In fact, he was my lawyer.
So ne baba shek parts omo talk about Ghana, the president. Now for the presidency, omo response omo di aba, and other people also say more makeka, including Martin Amidu. Yeah, former special kwesi Peter. My goodness. Yes, yes. Now we in that expose from episode 1 to episode 4 it's about 4 hours long. My reading in SC and I've picked the parts I talk about Ghana. So person getting the full idea of Nene Kwasuoma. Please go to the YouTube channel and watch it. But right now, episode 1. Ghana.
Ghana I do one time, so I do $40 million every month out of Ghana.
This guy was a guy, another guy in that video, A1 Macmillan. Friend is on there and a partner with Dubai. And now this guy watching the amount of gold or export to the free Ghana, the Dubai, cotton. And this guy is saying, gold or different Ghana it's about 40 million US dollars.
Ghana I do one time, so I do $40 million every month out of Ghana.
Now go when you to episode 3 or see a third in a month what Ghana gold or smuggle out of Ghana it's about 40 to 60 million a month. Now easier breaking it down. Funny say be a 50 million a month export from Ghana. Or multiply that by 12. This guy is smuggling about $600 million of gold from Ghana. And I'm like, so there are so much more money to be made in Ghana if you know the right people to talk to. My goodness. And not just even Ghana, Zimbabwe, in this expose in West. But we are talking about Ghana section. And then in this short clip now you play from episode 1, they purchased the gold or no export from Ghana in a month. It's about 40 million US dollars.
Ghana I do one time, so I do $40 million every month out of Ghana.
And that 40 million is about 1 ton, 1,000 kilograms of gold. And I charge my in the free Ghana, cause selling with Dubai to London money for big politicians and also 600 million a year. And all this is dirty money. Shit.
As long as you grease the wheels in Africa, there's no issue.
Yeah, Busia, that is that for the episode 1. Episode 2, Ghana wants some. Episode 3, yeah, there are some. Yanko.
Ghana I was the biggest at one point. I was doing 1 ton, 1.5 ton every month. So about $40 to $60 million every month.
Wow.
I was exporting out of Ghana.
Abuja, or see at some point Ghana, no, they're number 1 gold smuggler. Ghana making $40 to $60 million each month. That accumulates to over $600 million every year. And this guy is the guy, the go-to guy. According to him, the number 1 at some point Ghana almost smuggle gold out. Ha! Nah, you see why I'm going to now bring a Momo journey, kill people even to get power, to gain power. Charlie, it's madness.
The biggest challenge Zimbabwe now faces is the gold mafia.
Now in this Al-Jazeera expose, whoever was in that video, and I'm talking about, I'm getting a quote after the put two video together, and then they put that in a textual form at the end of the video. And why not this guy deny all the allegations what make it against Ghana, against a man for hours on your pen and things he can do. Or see on your money laundering or your whatever. Mommy reading your kind in channel about screen so. Or say Alistair Matthias denied that he designed mechanisms to launder money and said he had never laundered money or gold or traded illegal gold or offered to do such things. He told us he had never had any working relationship with Ewan Macmillan. We show video now when someone else was you know, he's lying right here because, you know, clearly, you know, he has a working relationship with that guy. He denied ever having had an interest in any gold trading company in Ghana or trading gold in that country. And this guy is denying, say, oh no, Ghana. Nipa say at some point he was the number one.
So Ghana was the biggest at one point.
And then the gold company now run this business through no as gold resources no. Al-Jazeera contacted him when almost continue. As gold resources, Ghana denied that it engaged in money laundering, that it is owned or directed by Mr. Matthias, and that it had itself received $16 million from Kaloti ni another company on setting wo Dubai. Babe to gold no. So everyone say me ankasa me to gold no Ghana. And mo ko pin company for Dubai. And then me am ton gold no ma me ho Dubai. Now for them babe to say na be ya through banks no because no doors we say for banks. Through banks no be look like I'm running a legitimate business. Meanwhile, the two companies at each end, you know, and I'm selling to myself back and forth. Say that be a scam, be clean money, and make me using where we are.
All the paper trail is legitimate. It's not like somebody can question or
But this so far, no, put Addo in any big deal, bia, and as he shed them finger ye. In episode 4, their final episode, no, a one as a finger and one, my goodness. He did fingered Addo. Ne tuni na you lose. What do you yanko?
Ghana president is a good friend of mine. In fact, he was my lawyer.
That was the first problem. Was a Ghana president is a good friend of mine. In fact, he was my lawyer. We are not talking about any other person. We are talking about Addo Danko Akufo-Addo, aka
fellow Ghanaians.
He is the guy at this money laundering or no mom no and personal friend. Yeah. And then he was even his lawyer.
Ghana president is a good friend of mine. In fact, he was my lawyer.
Now, somebody buy the Addo lawyer, Mr. Kwawe Suman, something like that. Yeah. What deny claims the category creature as an Addo since year 2000 on practicing law as a lawyer. Until this guy claims I will making up.
Ghana president is a good friend of mine. In fact, he was my lawyer.
Obviously, now your force. I want the whole press release by Ibedru. But in this expose, 4th episode, no, at the 1 hour mark, when a year dan kasa. When a much how or Mrs. Smuggle ska at the go back and forth, and what are you go?
In Africa, I do government contracts. It's Ghana big tenders, construction of roads, procurement, supplying different things, oil, this stuff. There, all the politicians get taken care of indirectly, which is what allows me to do all my other stuff freely.
Now, with your own tactics or say, or the year Juma or Ghana, send a bill bit me and no more person freely because of bar. Or see you about the constructive road, for example, you have a constructive bridge. Contracts, government contracts, now watch it. And then if that is the personnel here, you know, big government contracts for Ghana. Government in a drube be a better than Nika class and a smuggling in a chrono, same people cause who actually a better or no, yes, the government will do nothing to him because the government now on a contract. I couldn't even bet them how politicians get to a musica from normal way and a whole lot more. But lady, the undercover journalists are not anything where Kasani Bisan said. This government through the government contracts, and of us with them politicians in his car now. And then he explained like this:
Government will give me a contract. There's a lot of commissions involved. He wants a commission, he wants a commission.
Now, Oka commission, that is legal talk. The real talk, then is a commission is equal to bribery. Which means I said, on your government contract, we for example, we benya kakra, and not talk about a commission. Yeah, he's talking about bribery right there.
See, if you're a politician and you do a contract, you're not going to tell the whole world you're getting 10%. No one can do it. But you trust me, so you say, I'm going to keep it with you.
Yeah, but what's in your canon? On your government contractor, politician, this a government contract, and bringing here a cat. Which means, hey, be a politician here 10%. And not just a politician in my job, and I can say, a government contract, you know, me 10% share in the womb, there be. So what they will do is that they will use smart tactics to, you know, to wear the scar. So,
for example, Ghana government, that is holding, I get the contract. I subcontract it to you. $100 million contract. Ghana government pays me $100 million. I give it to you, and you say it's $80 million.
Now, I wish you want the smart way we use the US canon. Just say, we can't want to say, nah, people are stealing money at a higher level. For example, my phone, your baby build phone. What you say? Phone na kasa ho no ma bibia no be cost about $80 million. What you say? But $80 million no. And I'm say ya buying a disc Abraham building things. Me kase $80 million abo ano enye ye. Politician e de me ba obi here commission wa ha commission wa ha. I'm talking about bribe. Until they say, you know, you be scanum. Because politician e de ban obviously one person, but you know, until they say I bind the yen kase 100 million. The 100 million e ba beto me hwa. Na me di adwuma no mani pa foforo so onye. And I'm say adwuma no me di kan ni pa foforo na kasa dada. Ah, wa see bibia no be cost be 80 million. So I get the 100 million, I push the 80 million to the person to do the job. 20 million I come for. Politician now or the adwuma no brem no here the percentage out of that money. That politician will get about 15 million and then will Dubai. That 5 million now ka we chire me commission. Me so me bribe no. That is how we move can at that level. What you say? Madness. Hi! In Al-Jazeera video, ne kura no mu chirem better. Tie.
The contract is inflated $20 million above its real cost.
I have an agreement with that. When you get proceed, so now we probably $5 million.
Yeah, Abusia. That is it. Ono just say, hey, goodness gracious. And this is what an Addo is involved with too. According to their expose, no. Now, I'm on the press release about a bedroom.
Most important thing for me in Africa is people trust me. All the politicians trust that whatever money I have on theirs is safe.
Yeah, Busia. What's the politicians that trust in our region? What you say? You know, so our mono politicians need scar or no why or moon because if there's a politician, say Obi account, na say scar obviously no 50 million it will be suspicious. But if it's with this guy, already know why any send the company in the government na man is contracting to do and on subcontracting man their money for. This a human who's can aba e already there. Nothing wrong with that. The politician here can do you can always work at and Matthias this account push my 50 million to that and then no one know why. It's that simple.
The gold mafia is bigger than the government, bigger than any of the authorities.
As always, the test no more the more episodes no tono. Okwa there was a response from Alaya can say Matthias no. And even Addo, first one was Alistair Matthias denied that he designed mechanisms to launder money and said he had never laundered money or gold or offered to do such things. This video no share, you know, it is clear. Or a smart guy, but you know, video now you can put 2 and 2 together. And then again, was saying deny say government, Ghana government, a man any contract. He was say Mr. Matthias denied ever being awarded any tender by the Ghanaian government or entering into an can say any government contracts in any African country, which means or say on your bonibia government to be a man or she. And now kaya time on no make the suggestion say Ghana government man 100 million, 80 million, whatever no. Or say for example, that is what he said.
So for example, Ghana government that is holding, I get the contract.
So let me say this guy is smart. So he's making an example. It's not like say a real fact and as a government. Nah, also for example, and then again no. Mubisa and say okay, we put it to you say we na waka through time I share undercover journalist. No? I say nah, you know, Nyameka was bullshit. This guy. But another response to the expose no say President Akufo-Addo of Ghana told us that he had no recollection of acting as a lawyer for Alistair Matthias or his company. And based on another lawyer, so can say, you know, since year 2000, you know, he has never practiced law. No? At least that makes sense.
Don't invest with a black guy. They will tell you just lies. You'll invest, you'll lose all your money. Do not trust any black person.
So at least that is the sections of the video now we go round and round. No? What Ghana Web mean with Martina Midua right to say Akufo-Addo is an admitted friend of Alistair Matthias. Period. Or who expose no this guy Addo knows because the confidence of the guy talking in that video, no.
Ghana president is a good friend of mine. In fact, he was my lawyer.
What kind of section where Ghana Web article no say? Nana Akufo-Addo knows that to use the idiom "have no recollection" means to remember nothing. Nana Akufo-Addo's reported response convinces me that Alistair Matthias was speaking the truth at the meeting with undercover investigators from Al-Jazeera who posed as Chinese businessmen. Firstly and very importantly, Nana Akufo-Addo does not deny Alistair Matthias' assertion that Addo is his good friend. Addo merely uses the idiom have no recollection in relation to being his lawyer. Secondly, an astute and experienced lawyer like Addo knows the difference between I never acted as a lawyer for Alistair Matthias or his company, and I have no recollection of acting as a lawyer for Alistair Matthias or his company, which is tantamount to pleading amnesia. Yeah, at least that is some section from the organization Martin Amidu. Oko Ghana web wa that article is there. Go and read it for yourself. But say yen delay umbebre ni yen kwa ni president na akasa atwere de kwa Al-Jazeera for press release ya. Or they come on say ade na omaye no ne ono na ye de na ba be shame no. It was not done right. Into no here retraction. Tie. Also request for retraction and apology for inaccurate and unfair documentary on the president and government of Ghana. This was from the Secretary of the President. I am instructed by the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to demand formally that Al-Jazeera Media Network, Al-Jazeera, retract immediately and apologize for airing an inaccurate and unfair documentary that contains spurious and unsubstantiated allegations against the President and the government of Ghana. First paragraph from the Secretary. The second paragraph was say, the documentary in question made baseless claims that the president acted as a lawyer for one Mr. Alistair Matthias and implied that the president personally benefited unlawfully from an alleged $100 million state infrastructure contract purportedly awarded to Mr. Matthias. In his letter dated 11th April 2023, responding to Al-Jazeera's letter of 2nd April 2023, which was received on 6th April 2023, containing these vague and defamatory allegations, the legal counsel for the president, Mr. Kwao Abaka Esuman, acting on the instructions of the president, informed Al Jazeera that the president had not been in private practice since the year 2000 and that the president had no recollection of acting as a lawyer, either personally or through his law firm, Mrs. Akufo-Addo Prempeh & Co., for a Mr. Alistair Matthias or his company, Gold Rust Resources. Nena Martin Amidu kanono. Semna Addo wakwadre wo law numpa. Ntini senka obi a wakwadre wo law musa ade. Senka stating emphatically say, oni Alistair Matthias ni nya adwuma da onye na danfo onim ni baabia, but wanye ne sa. So that is Martin Amidu's point. Odi gina so aka say, na Addo nim guy no. Oko wanima. In those circumstances, further and better particulars were demanded from Al Jazeera to respond adequately to the allegations made in Al Jazeera's letter. Al Jazeera was thus requested to provide information on the period for which the president allegedly provided legal representation to Mr. Alistair Matthias or his company, Gold Rust Resources. Dinanado being a lawyer, or bisa from Al Jazeera, so provided proof or Alistair no ne Nanado ayejuma. But I don't think that is how undercover investigations, ayejuma fa. So obviously Al Jazeera can provide that, because obviously that guy didn't provide that document to Al Jazeera for. It would have been weird. But at least that is normal. Nana the more requested from Al Jazeera also. But Al Jazeera couldn't provide because they didn't have it. And then they went ahead and provided and then published their video. Furthermore, Al Jazeera was requested to provide details of the 100 million USD tender for state infrastructure. And again, for example, one can say government but at least or you should Ghana for an example of making in that video. Allegedly given to Mr. Matthias, which he outsourced and kept a percentage in offshore accounts, as stated in the letter, as well as information on how the president personally benefited unlawfully from the alleged $100 million for state infrastructure. Al Jazeera refused or failed to provide these details as requested and went ahead with the broadcast of the documentary. At the end of the documentary, a thirst test was shown contradicting the content of the documentary. Additionally, the subject of the documentary, Mr. Alistair Matthias, denied what he said in the documentary to Al Jazeera's investigative journalists. In light of these blatant denials by Mr. Alistair Matthias and the response from Mr. Esuman, Nana the lawyer, those parts of the documentary ought not to have been included because those statements were not true. And our test muputu at the end of the video now. They did their due diligence and they reach out to a mouth for now. In the expose to give their opinion, their thoughts and whatever on the matter. And then they did very well and then put each sema obiakai at the end. Say okay, this is why, and then this is the response I get it from the other side too. Not a whole lot of other journalists and the investigative journalists. That was, some good work. Accordingly, those parts of the documentary are malicious, defamatory, and a calculated attempt to tarnish the reputation of the president of the government of Ghana. It is therefore demanded that Al-Jazeera withdraws the documentary immediately. I don't know, go viral, baby. Retracts and apologizes to the president and the government of Ghana for airing such an unprofessional and defamatory documentary. Yeah, it is imperative that you act forthwith on this request within 7 days from the date of receipt of this letter. Please confirm receipt of this letter and your intention to take the necessary action as requested. So Abusia, that is Nanado. Nana Bedia to Asante Secretary to the President. And then let's say Vice President, the Jubilee House, whatever you know. So Nanado, in short, in a part they say, I did a video na Al-Jazeera de buy no. He knew nothing about it. Ni omo Kenya no. I fan hono entro. Guy in question, Alistair Matthias no onim ne baby.
There's no president head of state, like either of us can't get into this continent.
When you walk, you must always have the king with you, the president.
I know say politicians deal so dear koso, but this one power against Nanado there, is doubtful kakra. Because it was not focused. The Al-Jazeera expose was not focused on Nanado, but the guy, So in some guy it could be say no can send a beya, obetim dia get some for now more person in that expose no my money guy ni be business to get their business. And also there is the other part say everything in that could be 100% true. But me watch your comment section as well. Tap send number 1 mobile money transfer app or bet me use there send this command for Ghana. So we USA, Europe and Canada. A very simple, easy to use app. No so Apple App Store and Google Play Store. No download do their 2 phones no start here use there send this command for. So for your first time I would send this command for. You bet $10 for free. You buy answer code Magraheb washim. When you buy code na abusia, you discount back on sika no ho send your money pa send your no. It's that simple.
Tap, send. Intienne. Also download the tap, send app no. Ewa mobile phone so free. Na first kako mo abusuya for Ghana fa na nyina. Tap, send. Papa no.
And every video no. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel for videos like this every day. Till we meet again, abusuya. Adios.